The WNBA has been full of headlines lately, but none of them hit harder than the ones surrounding Caitlin Clark. Every time she steps on the court, she doesn't just play basketball, she rewrites the conversation around the league. But what's got fans talking this week isn't just her game. It's the explosive debate about so-called male players in the WNBA, a topic that's gone viral after Caitlin Clark's recent comments were interpreted as an exposure of deeper issues within women's basketball. And while she didn't directly call anyone out by name, the reaction across social media made it clear that people believe she pulled the curtain back on something the league would rather keep hidden. Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark has quickly become the face of the WNBA. From the moment she entered the league, she brought record-breaking viewership, ticket sales that doubled in certain arenas, and jersey sales that rival some NBA stars. With that spotlight comes scrutiny. Every word she says gets amplified, dissected, and debated. And when she recently addressed fairness, competition, and what fans really want to see in the league, the internet took it as her exposing players who don't fit the traditional idea of women's basketball. Instantly, fans flooded Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube with theories, clips, and hot takes. One viral thread claimed that Caitlin Clark was finally saying what fans have whispered about for years, that there are players in the WNBA whose physical advantages make the game feel unbalanced. Whether you agree or not, that conversation got louder than ever. Comment sections were filled with people dropping fire emojis, saying things like, "She finally said it," and "Caitlin just exposed the truth." But here's the thing, Caitlin herself never singled anyone out. Instead, her words opened the door for fans to project their own frustrations and suspicions, and suddenly the spotlight wasn't just on her game, but on the league's entire identity. That's why the word "exposed" feels so fitting here. Because whether she meant to or not, Caitlin Clark put the WNBA in a position where it has to answer questions it's been dodging. What does fair competition really look like in women's basketball? Should the league have stricter definitions of eligibility? Are fans even watching for the same reasons the league thinks they are? These aren't small questions, they strike at the very core of what the WNBA represents. And for someone as new as Caitlin Clark to be at the center of that storm, that shows just how powerful her presence really is. Now, the phrase "male players" has been thrown around by fans, not Caitlin herself. But once that narrative caught fire, it was impossible to put it back in the box. Hashtags started trending, reaction videos blew up overnight, and mainstream sports outlets had no choice but to acknowledge the debate. Some defended Caitlin, saying she was brave for speaking her truth. Others accused fans of twisting her words into something she never intended. But no matter where you stand, one fact is clear, her comments sparked one of the most heated conversations in WNBA history. And here's where it gets even more dramatic. As the debate raged, many fans noticed the silence from certain high-profile figures in the league. Instead of coming out to address the controversy head-on, some players and officials stayed quiet, which only fueled speculation. The more the silence dragged on, the more fans felt like something was being hidden. It created this atmosphere of secrecy, where the lack of response felt like an answer in itself. And who was at the center of it all? Caitlin Clark. The rookie who wasn't supposed to be this disruptive, but instead has become the spark for conversations the league cannot ignore. What makes this story even more fascinating is how Caitlin herself has handled the spotlight. She hasn't backed down, she hasn't wavered, and she hasn't played into the drama by calling people out directly. Instead, she keeps showing up, dropping buckets, and letting her performance speak louder than the headlines. It's almost as if she knows the league is at a crossroads, and she's willing to be the lightning rod if it means the game will grow stronger. And make no mistake, her impact isn't limited to the court. She's shaping the very culture of the WNBA. The bigger picture here is that Caitlin Clark represents change. Change in how the game is played, how it's marketed, and how it's consumed by fans. Her words, no matter how subtle, have the power to shift narratives and force the league to confront uncomfortable truths. That's why so many people are calling this moment an exposure. Because it feels like the beginning of a reckoning, where the WNBA has to choose between maintaining the status quo or embracing the new era Caitlin embodies. Fans are divided. Some think Caitlin is just voicing what's been obvious all along, that the league needs to address fairness to keep fans engaged. Others think the narrative has been blown out of proportion by social media, turning her into a symbol for debates she never intended to start. But that's the double-edged sword of fame. When you're the most watched player in the league, your words carry weight far beyond your control. And maybe that's the real truth hiding beneath all the noise. Caitlin Clark doesn't have to expose anyone by name. Her very presence exposes the cracks in the system. Her rise exposes the gap between what fans want and what the league delivers. And her silence, at times, exposes more than her words ever could. She doesn't need to point fingers, because the conversation has already shifted. The WNBA is now in a position where it must either address the debate head-on or risk losing credibility with a fan base that's more engaged, more vocal, and more demanding than ever before. At the end of the day, Caitlin Clark has proven that she's more than just a basketball star, she's a disruptor. Whether you think she's exposing hidden truths or simply becoming the victim of a social media frenzy, the fact remains, she's at the heart of a cultural moment that will define the future of the WNBA. And if history is any indication, she won't just survive the controversy, she'll use it to fuel her rise even higher.